Welcome back. In fact, during the break, Ms. Leila was telling me that sometimes children might find it too tough to start speaking because nowadays a lot of languages are spoken at home. So you could have the parents speaking in Malayalam, you could have the eldest child speaking in English, friends in the neighborhood speaking in Hindi, and that could be one reason why the child finds it tough because he ends up being confused. So I don't think you should be concerned just because the child is delayed in speaking. You need to look at all the other factors as well. Leila ji, I've got a very important question here because a lot of parents still consider this as a taboo topic. My child having a learning disability is no way, you know, because we don't accept it. So I would like to share another video clip from the same movie where the remediator takes pain to go to the house of our young friend to explain very passionately to the parents what it means to have a learning disability. So can I request the studio to kindly play the third video clip?
क्यों करते हो ऐसा? बेवकूफ है, आलसी है ना। मेरी समझ से उसे अक्षर पहचानने में दिक्कत हो रही। जब आप APPLE एप्पल पढ़ती है तो आप अपने दिमाग में एक लाल लाल एप्पल बना लेती है। ईशान वो एप्पल पढ़ ही नहीं पाता, शायद इसलिए मतलब नहीं समझ पाता। पढ़ने लिखने के लिए अक्षरों की आवाज, उनकी बनावट, शब्दों का मतलब समझना जरूरी है। ये अहम जरूरत ईशान पूरी नहीं कर पा रहा।
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ये सब बहाने हैं पढ़ाई टालने के।
जरा ये पढ़िए मिस्टर अवस्थी।
ये कैसे पढ़ सकता हूँ मैं? ये तो चाइनीज में।
अरे कोशिश तो कीजिए, चलिए ध्यान दीजिए।
क्या बेकार की बात कर रहे हैं? मैं कैसे पढ़ सकता हूँ इसको?
बदतमीजी कर रहे हैं, आपका रवैया ठीक नहीं है।
ये
आप शैतानी कर रहे हैं। कुछ ऐसी ही कैफियत होती होगी ईशान की, अक्षर ही समझ में नहीं आते होंगे। इस पढ़ने लिखने की तकलीफ को डिसलेक्सिया कहते हैं।
And I think that's one of the most soulful clips from the movie, because a lot of us parents most of the time feel that our child is not willing to take effort. But the question is, maybe the child is not able to take the necessary effort, or even with the effort, maybe nothing is registering inside. So that forces us to look at it from another perspective. And I'm sure, Leila, you'll find cases where a lot of parents defy the very probability of the child having a problem. But in case, we talked about how parents can recognize certain clues. In case they feel the child has it, okay, they've crossed the threshold. Yes, I feel my child has it. What do you think parents should do?
If parents recognize or suspect that the children have learning disabilities, what they need to do is actually set up a meeting with the school counselors.
Okay.
Because now every school has a counselor and teachers are aware of this problem.
Okay.
So they set up a meeting and they try to get their child evaluated.
Okay.
Now assessments, simply put, are of three parts. One is to test the child's ability, which is IQ test.
Okay.
Second is assessments IQ test would be assessments for potential. The ability assessments would be assessments to determine what levels your child is at reading, writing and probably mathematics. And the last test would be to identify if the child has any processing difficulties. So processing in the sense, if the child has a problem in input, integration and output of information.
Okay.
So once these are identified, you can get a report which says whether your child has learning disability or not.
Okay.
They also remove factors such as if the child has an auditory problem, that means hearing impaired or
Okay.
sight impaired.
Okay. Okay.
Is there a socio-economic problem in the sense that comes from a poor background
Okay.
or has not gone to preschool and KG If the child has say cultural problems, the girl child is not sent to school. So what they do is they eliminate all these reasons and then they do the assessment for the 3 parts.
True. Parents, I hope you didn't bat an eyelid while this question was being answered, because think about it, maybe the child has a hearing problem and that's the reason he's not able to understand what is being told to him or her.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's not able to see properly, and naturally that will lead to the child not registering what is being taught in class, especially shown on board. Yeah. And parents can immediately judge the child wrongly and say that this could be because of a lack of ability or this could be a lack of willingness. So let us not rest on our laurels. Let us not believe we know it all. If we feel there's a gap between the child's efforts and the child's ability, for heaven's sake, let's take our children for assessment. I know there are a lot of parents who consider this taboo, but I'm sure confidentiality will be maintained and you will get an expert opinion on whether your child needs support. Can I share a small story? I had a friend who was part of my social circle who believed that her daughter had a problem with learning. And then we actually referred that case to Ms. Leila Jacob. She was doing it as part of her social obligation, and we met up with the parents, and just a half an hour session, just explaining a few tips, just sharing with them a few techniques that can be used to educate the child, actually led to a phenomenal improvement in the way the child learned. So dear parents, this is not it is not that the child is condemned to live a life of misery. They just learn differently. So if we can actually show them those different ways of learning, they can definitely rise above all these limitations and strive to earn their rightful place in the scheme of things. So now, Leila ji, I want to ask you $1 million question.
Can I just add something?
That was a
to
long
what you
speech,
said.
I know. Sorry, please.
The assessment also helps you because it identifies what kind of learner your child is.
Okay.
What are the areas which he has a problem with, and what other areas can you use? That means what are the strengths you can use to overcome the areas of weaknesses. So even if your child you have taken him for assessment and you find he doesn't have learning disability, the report gives you all these details which you can use for a child having normal learning abilities.
True. So it's not just for children who are probably below the threshold, but it will help the others as well. Leila ji, could you give me, I'm sure a lot of parents would want to ask you this question, could you give us at least the name of 1 or 2 places where you can actually get your children assessed?
See, one of the clinics is here in Sharjah. It's called Sunny's Medical Center.
Okay.
And they have a child guidance center.
Okay.
So I think we will share the number,
the details as well.
And
And as ma'am said, I'm sure your school student counselor would have certain good leads. So step 1 before jumping into conclusions or before taking clinical support would be to definitely go to your school counselor. $1 million question, ma'am. Is this curable? Suppose a parent realizes that the child has a learning disability. Can he overcome the handicap and get ahead in life?
I think to answer this question, I won't use the term curable, because the children we've worked with over the years, those who've struggled, those who've studied, those who we've helped, most of them have actually overcome the disability and gone on to times when the disability no longer exists, because they become good at English, math and writing. Now one of the experiences that we've had that I'd like to share at this point of time is in Disha, that is in India, we had a child referred to us by one of the doctors there. The child was in the 3rd grade. He had a learning disability and he had a severe case of attention deficit and hyperactivity, which sometimes are linked with learning disabilities. Now he was a difficult student, but with remediation, with a lot of parental help, a lot of support from the parents, he went on to actually he was good at math, but he had problems with language. he went on to sit for the entrance exam for engineering, and can you believe he got admission to the engineering college on merit. So, you know, children are so smart, they overcome this disability and they can do well. What we need to do is we need to use remediation, we need intervention from schools, and we need parental support and instill confidence in the child. He will overcome it.
And I'm sure you can literally hear a lot of parents saying, thank God, take a gasp of relief, because because we don't have the luxury of time. Ms. Leila probably shared with you one story, but I'm sure there are so many stories, provided you do your assessment right, provided you show them the right tools, the right ways to overcome these disabilities, because traditionally school caters to the average student, okay, and schools do not do justice to children who are exceedingly brilliant as well,
gifted,
you know,
as
and
well,
gifted children as well, because these children find it extremely boring, but they still have to go through the same phase. Similarly, below the threshold, we have some children who find it tough at school, but show them the right techniques, and it came directly from an expert. It can open a lot of wonderful doors for our child. We have a small video clip to share with you now. The question is this curable? So we want to share with you some stories about people who had learning disabilities but who overcame those to become exceedingly successful in life. So can I request the studio to play our next video clip, which is the video 4, please. If that will not convince you, I don't think anything will, because we saw a list of extremely successful people who were diagnosed with learning disabilities when they were young. So if you feel your child is facing some issues in the areas mentioned, get him assessed and make sure you provide the right direction and he too will shine as a star in the future. But there's one more aspect. It's not just about assessments. There's one more aspect that we need to take care of. These children, because they are faring consistently below their peers, they might be subject to a lot of bullying that might happen, even from teachers. Our teaching community, please don't have anything against us, but that happens even from friends. And the self-esteem of the child probably can get a direct hit because of that. We'll have a lot of our young friends sobbing inside because they don't understand what problems are creating or are causing these issues. So how can we support our children, and how can we build the self-esteem in them?
The first thing is assessment, as I said. They must be assessed.
Okay.
And the parents, every child is different. We deal with children differently. Every individual learns differently. We have different strengths and we have different not weaknesses, areas which are not so strong. Parents must recognize these things. Parental support is the one thing that will build the child's self-esteem and his self-confidence. Just by building his self-esteem, building his self-confidence, patting him on the shoulder, concentrating on his strengths and telling him very good is enough for him to strive even harder, because he is facing challenges. It's not easy for him. The second thing is that you must identify what kind of learners these children are. All of us are different learners. We have visual learning, that is, we see things and learn. I prefer to see things, colors, things on read books and learn. But there are others who are visual learners, auditory learners, people who like to listen to others read and then learn. We used to have a child like that. So we have to identify what kind of learners are these children. Do they like to do things in a lab? Do they like to go for say country treks to learn things in botany or in biology? Once you identify that and you try to provide learning specifically for these children, which targets their disability and their style of learning, there will be a lot of success. There definitely will be a lot of success.
So helping them build their self-esteem, protecting them from all these hurtful comments and incidents that can happen, being a protective cocoon around them, and also identifying their specific strengths and areas for improvement.
Exactly.
And especially their learning style, because every child learns best when he learns through his particular style. Ms. Leila, 1 hour, but I think you've made the 1 hour very significant with your inputs. Dear parents, we know that we have to cover a lot of ground, so that's why you've got an SMS number given below, and you also have our phone number. If you have any specific questions on the topic, please feel free. This was just an introduction. This was just a preview. Please communicate with our studio. Send us your specific questions and we'll make sure we'll treat each one of them with a lot of interest, and we'll specifically have a session to answer your questions. Can we expect to have you back in the studio, Ms. Leila Jacob?
Learning disability and helping children are a passion of mine. So anybody who wants help could call me, could send SMSs to the studio, as you said, and I would be there to help.
Wow, you're making a commitment on air, you know, so so we'll definitely, dear parents, nothing to worry if we find that our child has a learning disability. What is life without challenges? I think that's when you have to realize that God has given you a challenge, and God has given us all the resources to battle that challenge and win. And of course you have the help of the teachers, the counselors and the community around him. Together, let's provide the support that these children need, and together let us take them towards greater heights. I want to leave you with a small video clip on learning styles, which Ms. Leila Jacob mentioned, the 3 learning styles. This video covers that in a little more detail. This is Sangeet Ibrahim logging off from the studio along with Sharu and the rest of the team. Thank you, Ms. Leila Jacob. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to having you again with us to add tremendous value to our viewers out there. Dear viewers, looking forward to joining with you again another week with more interesting questions. But as of now, before we leave, take a look at this video on visual auditory kinesthetic learning. Bye-bye.